Hey guys, and today I'm going to do my tips for round 14, so we're back to a normal schedule this week, which is good. West Coast play Essendon at Patterson Stadium, which is the game on the Thursday night. It's a big game. Last time these sides played against each other, it was Essendon getting the job done by 61 points, so pretty easy. And I think they were 7 wins each at that stage of the season last year, and then Essendon got a decent win in the end. West Coast were pretty good against the Hawks last week. They pushed them all the way to the end, only letting the Hawks win by 20 points in the end, so that was very nicely done. And Essendon were on the sidelines having a bye that week. Essendon have won 2 of the last 3 against the Eagles, but overall West Coast have won 5 out of the last 7. Essendon haven't beaten West Coast in Perth since 2001, so it's a bit of a hoodoo they need to break. But the Eagles have let what I would say is probably easier teams get a win against them at home, what used to be a fortress for them. So I think Essendon will be able to do the same. I'm going to tip the Bombers to win this one by 26 points. Carlton head up to the SCG to take on a very keen Swansea outfit. Carlton had the bye last week, so it wasn't too bad for them. And Sydney were embarrassed at Amy Stadium, losing to Port Adelaide by 3 goals, so that was not good for them. And the last time these sides went up against each other, it was Sydney doing enough to win by 22 points. Carlton's biggest loss of the year was 17 points in round 2, so you wouldn't have thought there would be a whole lot in this one. I just can't see Sydney losing this game, particularly up at the SCG, and also coming off a very embarrassing loss. I just think they'll bounce back like a good team should. I'm going to go with Sydney by 19 points. Gold Coast hosts Adelaide at Metricon Stadium on the Saturday afternoon, which will be a mouth-watering contest. They both had the bye last week, so they'll be pretty fresh, but I reckon Gold Coast look the goods. The previous 4 games have been Adelaide pretty easily, and they've won on an average by 70 points, but I just have a different feeling about this game. Should be an interesting clash, but I feel as though Gold Coast are dangerous as any side when they're playing at Metricon Stadium. But it's definitely a game that could go either way. However, I'm going to go with Gold Coast to win this game by 9 points. Another huge clash coming up sees Port Adelaide hosting Collingwood at Amy Stadium late Saturday afternoon. Collingwood had a bit of a rest last week, and Port Adelaide shocked the football world, defeating the reigning premiers at their home turf at Amy Stadium by 18 points. The last time these sides went up against each other, it was Collingwood winning by 24 points at Etihad Stadium. Even though the Pies have won their last 6 games against Port Adelaide, it's no gimme game because Port have shown that they're actually able to beat a quality side at home. But so often this year, mediocre sides have caused huge upsets but haven't been able to back it up. The week after, and we all know that Collingwood love playing away as well. So I'm going to go with Collingwood on this one by 21 points, but it certainly could go either way. So many big games this round, isn't there? Geelong and Fremantle certainly is going to be a very entertaining clash to watch at Sims Stadium on the Saturday night. Geelong were absolutely awful last week. They were 52 points up just before 3/4 time, and to Brisbane's credit, they came back and won it after the siren. When Fremantle managed to get a decent win at home, winning by 38 points against North Melbourne. Geelong have struggled against Fremantle recently. They haven't managed to beat them since the start of 2011, so they've been sort of up struggle street playing against Fremantle. And Fremantle won 3 of the last 5 games overall. The only time Fremantle have managed to get a win against the Cats at Simmons Stadium was all the way back in 2005, and the other 11 wins have, of course, gone to Geelong. I think the Cats will be filthy on themselves for losing last week and will be keen to get a win. But I just think Fremantle is such a well-drilled and fantastic side to watch and compete against. I think they'll be able to possibly get a win this week. They are definitely capable of doing some amazing things, and the Cats have just been too lazy this year, it has to be said. I'm going to go with Fremantle by 12 points. Melbourne and the Western Bulldogs fight it out at the MCG on the Saturday night. Melbourne were a lot better last week under Neil Craig, but they weren't playing the greatest side in the world, St Kilda. They lost by 35. And the Bulldogs, well, they just weren't no match for the Tigers. They lost in the end by 10 goals. The last time these guys went head to head, it was the Bulldogs getting the win by 21 points, And it's really strange. I swear these sides only seem to play each other once a year, so I don't know what's going on there. The last time the D's actually managed to get a win against the Bulldogs was all the way back in 2007. And I think the Bulldogs look a lot better on paper, but I reckon the D's have maybe half a chance this week. Although I like the Dogs on this encounter, I'm going to go with Western Bulldogs by 33 points. Hawthorn play Brisbane at Aurora Stadium on the Sunday afternoon. Last time these sides went up against each other, it was Hawthorn getting a relatively easy 65-point victory. Brisbane were fantastic against Geelong last week, particularly in the last half, and they managed to get a big win against them at the Gabba. And Hawthorn had a bit of a scare against the West Coast Eagles and only got home there by 20 points, so a bit lower than what most people would have expected. Hawthorn have won 4 of the last 5 contests against Brisbane, and they're going for 12 on the trot. Brisbane did get a win against the Hawks back in 2009, which was at Aurora Stadium, and the Lions weren't too bad that year though, and the Hawks, well, they had a few injuries, it has to be said. And since Brisbane don't know how to back up wonderful victories, or upsets, whatever you like to call them, I'll give them absolutely no chance this week, absolutely no chance at all. I'm going to go with Hawthorn by 48 points. North Melbourne face GWS at Etihad Stadium on the Sunday. The last time these sides went up against each other, it was North getting a bit of a scare. They only won in the end by 28 points. And North, they were pretty poor last week. They only kicked 4 goals for the game against Fremantle. And GWS were pretty safe. They had the bye, so they couldn't get a loss for that one. GWS haven't got a win this year, and quite frankly, they don't really look like winning one. And North also have not really had any issues beating the bottom sides. Probably not a great title to have, but still, they shouldn't have too many issues in this game. I'm going to tip North Melbourne to win by 70 points. The last game of the round sees Richmond and St Kilda fight it out at the MCG. Last week, Richmond had a pretty easy win over the Bulldogs, winning by 10 goals, and St Kilda had a relatively easy 35-point victory for them. Last time these sides went head-to-head, it was Richmond getting the job done by 17 points. The Tigers are much more at home playing at the MCG, so I reckon that'll work in their favour. And St Kilda haven't recorded any real convincing victories this year. They've only defeated Melbourne, GWS and Carlton, so it's not really great on their resume. I think between 2003 to 2011, the Tigers just could not find a way to beat the Saints, but funnily enough, they've found a way to win the last 2 contests. I think the Tigers will be too good on this occasion. I'm going to go with them by 28 points. Those are my tips for round 14. Feel free to comment your tips, like the video if you enjoyed it, and as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys all soon.